What's up, community? It's Pastor Brett with today's daily Bible reading. This coming weekend, we will be continuing our series in Mark, and we have a fantastic passage, a message that really reveals God's ability in Jesus to look through all of our felt needs. Right, those are the needs that you and I would readily identify in our lives. Right, maybe you need a little help to pay the mortgage. You need some wisdom to guide and parent your children. Maybe you think you need a new job or need transportation, or maybe you need some emotional stability in a crazy season. Right, those are all valid needs, and for each of us, those felt needs will be different in different seasons. But part of what we see in this story is Jesus' unique ability to beckon us deeper. He validates our felt needs, but then he says, come with me deeper because I want to show you another need that actually all of us share. And it's the need that's referenced in Psalm 32, today's passage, that will help us understand and wrestle with the message this weekend, week 2 of our series, Jesus the King. So let's look at Psalm 32 together and prepare our hearts. We read this from David. Blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against them, and in whose spirit is no deceit. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groanings all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. Then I acknowledged my sin to you and did not cover up my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave me. You forgave the guilt of my sin. Therefore, let all the faithful pray to you while you may be found. Surely the rising of the mighty waters will not reach them. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Do not be like the horse or the mule, which have no understanding, but must be controlled by a bit and bridle, or they will not come to you. Many are the woes of the wicked, but the Lord's unfailing love surrounds the one who trusts in him. Rejoice in the Lord and be glad, you righteous. Sing, all you who are upright in heart. We have here two things, I think, going on in this psalm. First of all, just very generally, very broadly, this is a psalm of praise, praising God for his forgiveness, right? Obviously, from verse 1, blessed is the one whose sins are forgiven, whose sins are covered over. Blessed is the one whose the Lord does not count his sin against them. And at the end, he kind of repeats that refrain in terms of the theme. Rejoice in the Lord and be glad, all you righteous. Sing with an upright heart. So the big theme here is the universal theme of us valuing and cherishing and celebrating the forgiveness that God offers to us. But the other theme that we find in this psalm is that David himself is telling a bit of his own journey, right? He tells us in verse 3 about when he was not honest about his sin, when he tried to keep it to himself, when he tried to pretend like it wasn't that big of a deal, right? In verse 3 he says, I kept silent and yet my bones wasted away. God, your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. He's describing knowing the conviction of God in his life and yet not wanting to come to terms with his own sin. But then just as quickly in verse 5, he says, I acknowledged my sin. I confessed my sin to you, and God was faithful to forgive. All right, and then again in verse 6, now he's saying, let all of those who are faithful pray to God and seek this forgiveness, right? David's gone from his story, I was just oppressed. I could feel God's conviction on me when I kept this into myself. And yet when I confessed this to God, I felt free. And he's telling this to all the people And then in verse 8, he kind of breaks down, so to speak, in theater terms, he breaks down the fourth wall, and he speaks directly to his audience. This is David speaking to his audience. He says, I will instruct you. I will teach you. I will look at you with compassion. Learn from my experience, David is telling us. Learn from where I've been. He wants us to know the goodness of God's forgiveness. You see, we have a lot of pressing needs on our heart. All of us are surrounded by these felt needs, like some of those things we mentioned earlier. It may be help with money, help with career, kids, parenting, respect, all those felt needs. And sometimes the call of those felt needs can seem so urgent in the moment that that's all we're chasing after. But the deeper reality this psalm calls us to, and ultimately Jesus will call us to, is to know that first our hearts need to know the freedom of forgiveness. If we are unwilling to confess, unwilling to bring our sin, our hearts and our sin before God and allow him to do his work, then it will feel like David describes here in verses 3 and 4. It'll feel like we are wasting away. I don't know about you, but I've definitely felt that before, that I'm doing, what I think are to be the right things, and my bones are weary. I'm wasting away. I can feel God's hand on me, trying to direct me back to him. And some of us go through all of life like that. David says, no, learn from me. There is freedom in forgiveness. This is the need behind and beneath every other need in our lives. If we can get this need addressed, and the good news is God has already addressed this need in Jesus Christ. But if we can respond to how that need has been addressed, then all the other needs in our lives find their right place. They find their right place in terms of our priorities because we went deeper with God and we experienced his forgiveness. And we can say with David in verse 11, rejoice in the Lord and be glad. Sing, all of you who have an upright heart. The good news of Jesus, as we'll discover this weekend, is that the upright heart isn't something that we have to work for, isn't something that we have to kind of work within our own lives, our own heart. It's a gift that he gives us. It's a gift that he gives us through faith by an act of his grace. And so maybe you need that reminder today. If you're feeling heavy, if you can feel just the burden in your bones, maybe what you need to start your day off today is just with a little confession. Lay your heart down before God. Let him know where you fall short. Let him know your needs. Let him know your struggles. He is faithful to lead us to life. All right, guys. I hope you have a great week. Can't wait to connect with you this weekend. All right. God bless.